Right, fairly powerful opening. Hope you all got that. But it won't be the last this evening. But first, we're going to go into social media issues in the news this week. And introduced in the House this week, or recently anyway, this resolution condemns QAnon and rejects the conspiracy theories it promotes. And the resolution condemns all other groups and ideologies that contribute to the spread of unfounded conspiracy theories and encourage Americans to destroy property and attack law enforcement officers. What a load of crap that is. The resolution encourages federal law enforcement and homeland security agencies to continue to strengthen their focus on preventing violence. Just like they did in Portland. No, they didn't. Oh, well, that must be a conspiracy theorist then. Threats, harassment, and other criminal activity by extremists motivated by fringe political conspiracy theories. I guess the CIA wrote this, given it keeps mentioning conspiracy theories. And finally, the resolution encourages the misnomer called the intelligence community to uncover any foreign support, assistance, or online amplification QAnon receives, as well as any QAnon affiliations, coordination, and contacts with foreign extremist organizations or groups espousing violence. Oh my. And this is what your politicians are doing instead of looking after the people in the country. Where were the bills for investigations of condemning of Antifa or Black Lives Matter? It's funny they can spend time to push this bill through whilst ignoring the people's stimulus bill or the tax reform bill or the sovereignty bill or the FEMA replacement relief bill. But there you go. The US government has filed charges against Go Ogle, accusing the company of abusing its dominance to preserve a monopoly over internet searches and online advertising. Now, the lawsuit marks the biggest challenge brought by US regulators against a major tech company in years, and it follows more than a year of investigation and comes as the biggest tech firms face intense scrutiny of their practices at home and abroad. Now, Go Ogle called the case deeply flawed. Really. And the company has maintained that its sector remains intensely competitive and that its practices put customers first. Oh, they don't half-lie, don't they? People use Go Ogle because they chose to, not because they're forced to or because they can't find alternatives. Yeah, right. It's a bit like people chose to use Microsoft. They had no option. And the charges filed in federal court were brought by the US Department of Justice and 11 other states. The lawsuit focuses on the billions of dollars Go Ogle pays each year to ensure its search engine is installed as the default option on browsers and devices such as mobile phones. Now, officials said those deals have helped secure Go Ogle's place as the gatekeeper to the internet, owning or controlling the channels for about 80% of search inquiries in the US. Go Ogle has thus foreclosed competition for internet search, according to the lawsuit, and general search engine competitors are denied vital distribution, scale, and product recognition, ensuring they have no real chance to challenge Go Ogle. Better late than ever, I suppose. But I'm wondering, is this a faction lawsuit? But wouldn't it be a good idea if the fines went to the TPC, or better still, food banks. There's another solution for you, Trump. Whilst you're busy changing hair colour. During a recent USA congressional hearing, Facebook's former director of monetization said that Facebook took a page from Big Tobacco's playbook, working to make Facebook as addictive as cigarettes. And he admitted that Facebook built algorithms that have facilitated the spread of misinformation, encouraged divisive rhetoric, and laid the groundwork for a mental crisis. And now he worries that Facebook is pushing us to the brink of a civil war. Facebook employs psychologists and data scientists to analyze and manipulate our emotions and purchase decisions. Facebook deliberately serves us polarizing content that outrages us. Why? Because that drives higher engagement and more ad revenue. This high-tech brainwashing, he said, is like something straight out of Black Mirror. And suggested it's time for MeWe, social media done right, no targeting, no algorithms that boost inflammatory content, no ads, no manipulation of our minds and news feeds, and no BS. Nice to see some of you have crossed over into MeWe. One day they will all have to, because they will shut us down. In August of 2019, we had a new illness was reported. No, not COVID this time. In America, which was named vape lung, or E-Valley. E-cigarettes vaping associated lung injury. And the E-Valley and other respiratory viruses share similar symptoms, including shortness of breath, night sweats, low oxygen levels, and hazy spots on a lung X-ray. Quoting experts who mentioned the difficulty to tease apart a bad flu case and a vaping case. That has wider implications, that last part. The difficulty to tease apart a bad flu case and a vaping case. Bit like COVID then. Now, the illness was reported as a US-specific phenomenon that began in Illinois and Wisconsin in April 2019. And the first death from vaping-related illness was reported on August the 23rd in Illinois. Patients, mostly otherwise healthy and in their late teens and 20s, are showing up with severe shortness of breath, often after suffering for several days with vomiting, fever and fatigue. Some have wound up in the intensive care unit or on a ventilator for weeks. Treatment has been complicated by patients' lack of knowledge and sometimes outright denial about the actual substances they might have used or inhaled. It's sharply increasing in August 2019 and peaked in September. And it was blamed on illicit vaping products, especially those containing cannabis. As of October the 15th, 2019, the CDC had reported on 1,358 sufferers of E-Valley, of whom about 2/3 were male. The median age was 24, and although the median age of fatality was around 50 years of age. Now, I warned about this when it first came out. It all came out far too quickly and was far too heavily promoted as well. That rarely happens with something that is beneficial. And so this is now revealing its issue. I guess they, like the vaccine manufacturers will have an indemnity, no doubt. Well, if you're going to smoke natural tobacco and you will be fine. It is a high vibrational plant, unlike the burning of marijuana, which is a low vibrational plant and the worst form of hemp, etc. That plant. Trials of COVID-19 vaccine being developed by AstraZeneca and Oxford University will continue despite following a review into the death of a volunteer in Brazil. Brazil's health authority has given no details about the death, no surprise, citing confidentiality protocols. That's a bit like the CIA and NSA citing national security. Exactly the same. And Oxford University said a careful assessment had revealed no safety concerns. The BBC understands that the volunteer did not receive the vaccine. Yeah, right. Only around half the volunteers in the trial are given the actual Oxford University COVID-19 vaccine. The second group are being given an existing licensed vaccine for meningitis. Really? Neither the participants nor their families know which vaccine they are being given, and this enables the researchers to compare the results for the two groups in order to measure whether the vaccine is effective. Absolutely scandalous. Low-income people being bribed into being lab rats. That's what's going on here. Being set up into the great unknown and risking their lives for less than $100 is just stupid, if you ask me. No one turns up for the trials. None of this BS is getting out. I know many people are struggling, but surely you value your life more than 50 quid or less than $100. US President Donald Trump has said Sudan will come off a list of state sponsors of terror if it now pays compensation of $335 million. Sudanese Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok responded by saying the funds have been transferred, but there was no immediate US confirmation. Good luck with that, mate. And Sudan has been listed since 1993, when Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden lived there as a guest of the government. And the compensation relates to Al-Qaeda's 1998 bombing of US embassies in Africa. Really? I don't think it was Sudan. Children imitating adults are more likely. Now, the attacks in Tanzania and Kenya killed more than 220 people, and the compensation money is to be paid to US terror victims and families, Mr. Trump said. But if the attacks were in Tanzania and Kenya, most of them won't be American, Mr. Trump. But where is really this $335 million being paid to? You know, Sudan is a country racked in poverty and debt. Why would you increase that strife, Mr. Trump? For what? Because Sudan denies Israel? Really? But if Sudan has to pay for having bin Laden as a guest, are you going to charge the McCain family for being engaged with terrorists? Or Donald Rumsfeld for meeting and shaking hands with Osama bin Laden in hospital? Maybe not.